I mean, I went to art school because I mean, and my experience there was I mean, I had a lot of growth and development personally and artistically, but the institution was disappointing because it was set up to groom these students, most of whom were kind of rich Southern English students from London, to become kind of the pets and the tokens of a kind of a curator gallerist class, who then, if they bought into your brand, your whatever you're selling, they would then pimp you out to their friends in the culture industry. But basically, there was the idea that you kind of take your identity, you make that into a package, you put a label sticker on it, and you sell it out. And I remember having this girl trying to, in a group crit, talk about this text art, you know, like paintings with text on it, which were just block capitalized words spelt in red and blue. And she was going, oh, well, this painting is about autism. And because autistic people think in a simple, systematic way, so the simplicity of the text is a metaphor for how autistic people think. And then she went on about how she had an autistic brother and how that gave her license basically to step in with her insight, and everyone in the crit like nodded their heads. But it was clear to me how like disgusting this stuff was, and like patronizing, and how it was almost proposing art as a kind of a thing to like educate the stupid people, to like to give it to them, to like basically just tell them what to believe.
Politically correct ideology is racist as right-wing ideology. I've often said some of the finest bigots I've known call themselves liberals. Imagine if I wanted to write, and I've had black characters. My fourth play, called Exteriors, which is a play on Woody Allen's film Interiors, has a black character. I have a couple of plays. I just did a play about a girl I knew called Desdemona, who I met at a store that was owned by the pop star Prince back in the mid-90s when I was in Minneapolis. But imagine if I said, well, I got to identify with black people, so I'm going to have them all just be talking, hey, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to have them all, say, hey, come over to my house, Jamal, we're going to have some watermelon. They don't get that. I mean, yes, there are some slight differences. I was arguing with a kid on my E-list who's his name, I don't know if it's his real name, but he says he's an East Asian. And what frustrates me about him is he's so into this genetic shit that he talks about how races are different. I don't understand this obsession with why races. The Asians are 2.4% better at spatial thinking than white people.
That Jews are cleverer than non-Jews, stuff like that.
Well, let's say that is so. I don't believe that, but let's say that is so. Okay, but that's trivia.
Yeah,
because if I'm going to write. You mentioned I'm gonna finish my third of a trilogy of plays about the great Khans. I did one about Genghis, Ogadai, and then the play. Once I finish this play I'm doing right now in a few days, I'm going to start my Kubla Khan play. But I don't need, for example, to give every bit of detail about the Mongol Empire to go in and talk about them. I don't have to talk about the sabers that the Mongols, the arrows that they use. There's a book called Cold Mountain, I think. My wife, Jessica, read that. And she said there's something like 7 or 8 pages where a guy is just describing a gun. Hey, Jess, Cold Mountain, how many pages was that description of the gun? You said you read that book, Cold Mountain? A lot, she says. But what does it have to, if the plays focus on the human beings, and I even have used the device of the old Charlie Brown cartoons where characters are going wah, 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 because to a Mongol, if you're Chinese or Tangut, they're gonna hear wah, 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 wah. So let that go like that. That's far more interesting. Because if I were an actor, for example, and this is one of the things in my plays, I love to give actors the freedom and directors the freedom to move away from the text. If I'm an actor and I see 88 mwah-mwahs, I'm thinking, well, that's got to be about 80 words. That's about maybe 40 seconds of
time for me to get into it with them.
Yes,
Time
and
for me
in my mind, that while that character's going wah, on the stage because the Mongols can't understand him, they can be having in their mind, they can be saying, "Fuck you, Genghis Khan. We're gonna come and kill your ass," kind of whatever it might be, and that gives a great freedom for that actor. I would love that if I was an actor.
Well, I was reading the Khan plays the other night, and I was saying to Nicholas, my partner, kind of, this is really good. This isn't like the historical dramas that I'm used to. And like I was like, give it a read. Do you like Mongols and stuff? And he had to put it down. He was like, I don't know what all these memoirs are about. He just didn't get it. But but for me, it does seem what's interesting about the plays is the ways in which you make space for the interpretive elements of the performers and the directors and such to do what they want with the backdrops and the stage, but also with the characters, while still having really solid character work in there. I mean, you mentioned kind of the plays you did. I remember if God Were Alive, and the character of the aunt in that, how strong she is. She's a great. But Genghis Khan and Ogadai themselves, with all the leeway you give for the performers and stuff, they are really strong, really solid characters and have so many layers to them.
Well, at the end of the second one, the Ogadai Khan play, we get the play between the great Khatun, who was Ogadai's widow, and General Subutai, who's considered one of the top 5 military geniuses of all time. And we get their interplay of how they're going back and forth. But yet you also get little scenes, for example, of a guy who survived supposedly being killed because he was part of the retinue that was to bury Genghis Khan. You get these little moments. You get these little moments of cruelty, little moments of insanity, and that's the way life is. I think a couple of times in the plays, some of the Mongols fart or whatnot. And that you get that kind of stuff if you watch something like Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa has these Japanese characters. They're in these historical dramas, but they're calling everyone idiots. You fool! Or they're saying, the leader of the town, what a fucking asshole. That's the way people have always been like that.